Awesome. So welcome back, everybody. Make sure your mic is off again. Your microphone is off. I hope we're getting some good outcome in there. Sorry we had to cut off, but we're back. And I know Dr. Rudolph is letting everybody in, so slowly everybody is coming back in.
We can start, ma'am. I think so. We'll admit everybody as they come in, because we have a recording also. We can start sharing it to them.
Okay, that's great. So hopefully that made sense for you guys to look at the sequence. I'm going to go to the next one. So if you could put the next slide on, Dr. Rudolph, that would be great. Thank you. So this is the generating sequence. Sorry, my bad. That was the generating sequence, the one before. This is the controlling sequence. So again, this is going first in nature. So wood in nature control earth. Earth controls water, water controls fire. I think that's easy for us to understand. Fire controls metal, and metal controls wood. So let's look at one that's easy to understand. Is water obviously controls fire. So if we have wildfires, like there was in Australia in last January, for example, we need a lot of water to try to contain or control the fire, right? So that we understand that water controls fire, and you hope that it can bring it down and stop the wildfires. Wood or trees control the earth and to prevent mudslides. So the idea is if you have area that have mudslides, that's usually because there's no trees with strong roots. The strong roots of a tree is going to prevent the mountain from sliding off. So mudslides only happen in places where there's not strong rooted trees. So strong root trees will prevent mudslide or the earth from sliding down. So would obviously control the earth. Earth controls water. It just means that the riverbank or the earth riverbank controls water, preventing the river from flooding, right? So that's the idea. We're preventing the flood by controlling the water with the riverbank. That's when everything is in balance in nature, of course. Metal control wood. So basically a saw or something that you need to cut wood to prevent overgrowth, right? So if you have a big overgrowth of trees or garden with lots of overgrowth, you can just take your saw and your hatchet and you're basically chopping everything off. So that's the controlling part of it. And so the last one is fire control metal. So fire controls metal because it can mold it, it can soften it, it can make it into different shape. Obviously, in order to make, let's say, sword, or to make anything in metal, we have to basically melt it, and we melt it with fire in order to shape it in a different way that we want to shape it. So in nature, this is a really good balance to have all those elements balancing each other. What can happen though is an issue when it goes out of control or it's over controlling or overacting, and that's on the next slide. So I'm gonna look at the next slide. Perfect. So if oh no, that's too far. Can we go back? Sorry, Dr. Rudolph, that's too far. Yes, perfect, thank you. So the over-controlling, right? So over-controlling means that instead of just keeping things in shape or in balance, it's overdoing it. And so that's out of balance. So one of the, in nature, if we say water controls fire, it keeps fire down. But if there's too much water, then there's no fire. That means there's no heat, there's nothing. We can't basically take everything out. The idea is we need balance and we need to have all 5 elements, right? So let's look at, again, another one that's very, very common in clinical practice is wood over-controlling earth. So wood over-controlling earth is usually often liver, gallbladder, over-controlling spleen and stomach. That means that there's so much stress. This person is so stressed out that it leads to worry, overthinking. They're worrying about everything. They're thinking about everything. Worry, overthinking is a spleen and stomach issue. It's a digestive system earth issue. So when we are stressed and frustrated and overwhelmed, we have tendency to have digestive system issue. So it will lead to worry, it will lead to overthinking, and worry, overthinking may create ulcers in the stomach, heartburn, acid reflux, loose stools, IBS. So IBS in Chinese medicine, or irritable bowel syndrome, is always a liver qi stagnation, which is due to stress, creating a spleen qi deficiency, or I would say, no, I won't say or, I will leave it at that for now. So IBS is a liver qi stagnation, over controlling spleen, depleting the spleen, making a spleen qi deficiency. So that's really a would overact or over controlling earth. Sometimes it'll create more issue for the stomach, like stomach qi rebelling, which is acid reflux, heartburn, but sometimes it'll create more problem with the spleen, with worry, overthinking, loose stools, bloating, craving, etc. So the stress comes and depletes the spleen and stomach, or the earth, or the digestive system. So if someone comes in and says, I have loose stools, I have bloating, I have a weak digestion, I'm constantly worried, and I'm overthinking, and it's like, okay, why is that? Oh, I have so much stress. I'm taking care of my mother who's sick. I have 3 kids. I'm a single person, and I have 3 jobs, and there's so much financial stress, and I'm so busy, and I'm overwhelmed. That is the 2 we have to address. So we have to relax and de-stress the liver, gallbladder, and we have to strengthen the spleen and stomach and bring down the worry and the overthinking. Okay, so that's how we look at it in clinical practice. I took those examples in this slide on purpose with emotions. So in Chinese medicine, anger, frustration, irritability, impatience is all related to liver, gallbladder, but liver, or the wood element. In general, anxiety is related to the heart. Worry and overthinking is related to spleen and stomach. Grief and sadness is related to lung and large intestine, and fear and shock are both related to kidney and bladder. Okay, so I decided to take the emotions on this as an example. So another example is kidney, bladder, or water over controlling fire. So kidney, bladder, over controlling heart, small intestine. So if there is a lot of fear, it leads to anxiety, right? So the person is going to get anxious, and then they're not going to sleep. So that creates insomnia. And so more and more issues will happen. And fear can be rational or irrational. And there's going to be a lot of fears in life, right? So sometimes it's rational, sometimes it's irrational. Sometimes someone is actually scaring you. Maybe there's bullies, maybe there's abuse, or sometimes it's irrational, but it's still fear. And fear leads to anxiety. So I will say that often when people have a lot of anxiety, it comes from fear of something, right? So if someone has an anxiety about traveling on a plane, it's because they have fear of being maybe in closed space, or fear of the plane, crashing. So those fear, if they are constant, they will create anxiety, and anxiety can create other issue for the heart, palpitation, sweating, insomnia, all those things can come up, right? So that also is something that we can look at in clinical practice. So if you have someone, you can have all elements affected as well. So let's say you're very stressed and irritable and frustrated, and then you start worrying and overthinking about all the stuff you have to do. And that leads to fear of failure, fear of not being able to cope, fear of not being able to protect your family, or fear about not being able to provide financially for your family. That also leads to anxiety. And now you're really anxious and you're having palpitation. And then that anxiety can lead to sadness or depression, right? So grief, sadness, depression are all related in that perspective. So then if the person is depressed, often they will react, or it may lead to being irritable or angry. Even though they're irritable with the family member, it's not because they're mad at the family member, it's because they're worried, they're anxious, they're fearful, and there's all those emotions that create that irritability. So you can have a whole array of emotions coming up. Something that happens very often, like I said, is grief that can lead to anger. So if someone loses a child, maybe their child was killed by a drunk driver, the grieving is going to lead to anger because they are so upset that the drunk driver obviously drove drunk, and obviously fair enough, they should be upset, but that's what leads to it, right? So this is more of an acute reaction. The grieving leads to anger. But sometimes we can grieve not just a person that dies, we can grieve a relationship, right? Someone broke up with you and you're grieving the relationship, and now you're angry. You're angry that you spent all those years with that person and they left you behind and they abandoned you, and now there's anger coming, right? So grieving is also for anything that you have a loss for. So that's very common, and I see that in clinical practice as well. I've had a patient who was married for 42 years and his wife died of cancer. So, you know, it's very sad. And his grieving is led to a lot of anger. He was angry that she left him behind, that, you know, she, even though it's not her fault, he was angry that, you know, he just didn't want to be by himself and he didn't know what to do. And he was angry that he has to take care of their children, and all that anger came in as full stress. And so then worry came in as well, overthinking came in. So when he came to see me, he definitely had, I would say, lung issue, liver issue, and spleen and stomach issues. So looking at those perspectives, it's very common to see, right? So we always have to address the emotions that are affected. So if someone has anxiety, right, is it due to the fear? Is it due to constant worry first? Because some people will say, I worry all the time. I'm a constant worrier. I've always worried. So it's not who you are. It's what you've been conditioned to be for many years. And that can be changed, because then if we can change that, then we can have less fear and then less anxiety, okay? So that's pretty much how I would look at that perspective. Can I have the next slide, Dr. Rudolph? Thank you. Okay, the insulting sequence. So the insulting sequence is the reverse sequence from the controlling sequence, okay? So insulting, when you insult someone, it doesn't feel right, right? So the insulting sequence is always an out of balance in nature. It's not a balance, right? It's you're insulting someone. It's not very positive. So insulting is out of balance. So when we look at the insulting sequence, reverse from the controlling sequence. So one that is very common that we see in nature a lot is fire insulting water. Because if there is lots of fire, it dries all the water. So you see that in countries where they have no more water, in Africa, for example, where all the heat of the sun has dried everything, and those people don't have water. So that's really fire destroying water or drying it up to the point where there's no water for anybody, right? So that's very common in nature. Another one that we see a lot in nature that just happened actually recently, again, I think in Japan, is water insulting earth. So earth can, you know, we said earth is controlling water by having riverbanks to prevent the flooding. But when earth cannot control it, water insult earth back. And so that's when we have water insulting earth, which is flooding it. So we have floods, we have tsunamis, we have the water that basically invade the earth and destroys everything on its passage. So that's really out of balance, right? So that's very common in nature. We could see that. So when we look at this perspective, to look at those perspectives in nature, we could see how out of balance nature can get. And it's the same for our bodies. We can get out of balance as well. So I'll look at the next slide and apply it to our system. So again, I wanted to take stress because stress is such a big, in North America, anyway, in Canada, in North America, a lot of people are stressed. There's a lot of stress. And right now with the pandemic, a lot of people are stressed all over the world. There's a lot of stress all over the world right now, right? So it's affecting and impacting everybody. So stress can insult, or liver gallbladder can insult the lung and the large intestine. So meaning that would insult the metal. And so it's very common in clinical practice that people that have a lot of stress will have their immune system depleted. So when someone comes in and their immune system is depleted, maybe it has nothing to do with their diet being poor, but it has to do with months and years of stress. And the stress depletes the immune system, right? And so the person gets sick all the time. When you're not stressed, your immune system should not be depleted. Obviously, if you eat it well and all the other systems are balanced. So that's one that's very common. I have to say the water element insulting the earth, so kidney insulting spleen and stomach. Constant fear, for someone that is constantly in fear, it can lead to fatigue. It's exhausting to be scared all the time. It's really, everybody is very fatigued. It can lead to poor appetite. When you're in constant fear, either you don't want to eat, like you lose your appetite, you just can't eat, or you are eating your fears, right? And you eat everything and the fear could be fear of social anxiety, right? Where people are very fearful of being around other people. Fear could be something like acute. If I'm going to talk in front of 1,000 people, I may be so scared, so fearful that I start to throw up, right? I start to vomit, or I feel like I have a stomach knot. My stomach is knotted, right? So constant fear can definitely lead to issues with the spleen and stomach. So that's very common. So when people have, again, let's say they have ulcers and acid reflux, I want to know where that comes from, right? Is this a stress, or is this due to constant fear, right? Because there's a phobia. Someone has a phobia and they have a hard time living with it, right? So that leads to issues. So I love to look at the 5 elements for the purpose, again, of the root cause. Because if you just address the problem but not the root cause, we're not going to get a great outcome, okay? Chronic insomnia, so that would be fire insulting water. Chronic insomnia, which affects the heart, right? If someone is chronically hasn't slept well for 10 years, they will age much faster. It will deplete the kidney essence and the kidney system in TCM, so it will age the person faster. Of course, if you're not sleeping, you're not recovering, you're not resting, and your body will break down faster. So it will age the person faster. So chronic insomnia obviously can lead to aging, which means heart insulting the kidney. So if someone comes and sees me and they are, looking like they're not sleeping very well, right? I have to protect the kidneys as well. So the idea would be to address the insomnia, but also to protect the aging system. So I would have to do kidney point to protect the kidneys, because they are going to be depleted due to so many years of insomnia. If someone were to be really stressed and deplete their immune system, right, and someone has their immune system depleted, I will relieve the stress from the liver gallbladder, but I also will strengthen the immune system, right? You're trying to do both. So that's looking at an example of 2. But yes, you could have 3, you could have 4, or you could have all 5 being affected. So a poor diet, for example, if someone eats a really bad diet, processed food, no nutrients, it's all crap food, what I call crap food. A poor diet weakens the liver and gallbladder, specifically mobility, because we're going to start gaining weight. And if we gain weight, it's going to put pressure on the joints. It's going to put pressure on the knees. It's going to put pressure on joints. And it's going to affect the mobility of the person as well, because they're going to start getting more fat and more excess weight on their belly and other part of their body, and that creates issue as well for liver gallbladder, which is in charge of joints, ligaments, and tendons. So it kind of gives you an idea of how everything is related. If someone comes to see me and say, I have knee pain, I have so much pain in my knees, and they are 300 pounds, or if you do kilos, they're 140 kilos, you know that the root cause of the knee pain has to be the fact that there's too much weight on the knees. So we need to address the digestive system, the diet, and we need the knee pain as well. So if we're just doing the knee pain, we're managing, but we're not looking at the root cause. If we're not changing the root cause, then we're just managing. And managing is okay if there's no other option, but the idea is to try to always go to the root cause of the problem. Okay? And the last thing I wanted to say is, can you have more than one sequence being affected? Yes. You could have something like stress, which led to anxiety and insomnia. So that would be the generating sequence, right? And that anxiety and insomnia in salted water kidney and lead to faster aging. So now you have an insulting sequence mixed with a generating sequence. So that's kind of interesting that way. So yes, we can have people that are mixed in their sequence. I'll look at the next slide. Thank you, Dr. Rudolph. This is probably my favorite 5-element sequence. This is often the sequence that we're not talking about that much. It's the cosmological sequence, and it's not talked a lot in the 5 elements. And this is what I think is my favorite because it is what I use the most in TCM practice or in my practice. And the reason is, in this sequence, the earth element is at the center, okay? And all the other 4 are around. And the earth element represents the digestive system, and spleen and stomach, the digestive system, the nurturing system. And I have to say that it is at the center of our health. The diet and the digestive system, the absorption, the digestion, and the diet we feed our body is going to affect every other system. It is at the center. It is actually located at the center of our being, right? If you look at your digestive system, it's really in the center of your being. So that to me is the best sequence of the 5 element because it really represents what the 5 element in clinical practice can balance each other out. So let me look at this. This is looking at the 5 elements. We have 4 seasons, right? And earth is in the middle. So let's talk about the seasons. So wood is in the spring, metal is in the fall, fire, of course, is super hot, is in the summer, and water is in the winter. Earth is in between all those seasons. So earth is the changes of season. It's those 2 weeks where we go from summer to fall, fall to winter, winter to spring, spring to summer. So there's that 2 weeks transition where everybody's like, oh, I feel like summer is in the air, or I feel like winter is in the air, or fall is in the air, right? So that's that transition. And so in transition, we have to really protect our earth or our digestive system in order to prepare for the next season. So it's really important to eat well, but it's really important to support the spleen and stomach and TCM to transition to different seasons. And some people don't like winter. We need to transition well for winter. Some people don't like summer because it's too hot. We need to transition well. So diet will make a huge difference. The second thing is looking at directions. So this is like a compass, but you know, in the map, the compass, usually they put the north at the top and the south at the bottom. This is just reverse. It's still a compass, it's still the same. The reason why the south is at the top and the north is at the bottom is because fire goes up and water goes down. No matter what happened, fire always goes up in direction and water always goes down. There is no change in that. So because of that, they put north down and fire up, okay? So it's still the same. It's just a reverse, but it's still the same. And you could put that on a map, it would be the same. You just have to adapt the map to this new way of looking at it. Now, east is wood and west is metal. So basically, we have the 4 cardinal direction and earth is at the center, okay? It's at the center because earth is at the center. It means who you are. You are the person at the center and you are around the north, the south, the east, and the west. It's the same for the time of day. Sunrise is wood, which is liver, because it's spring. It's where everything begins, right? Sunrise is in the east, and then the spring begins, birth begins. Everything starts with wood in Chinese medicine. It's 6 a.m. and everything starts. And then you go to 12 p.m., which is the highest yang part, Y-A-N-G, yang part, the highest yang part. Oh, what happened? Okay, sorry, I just, something happened in my screen. My screen just looked funny.
You want me to change the screen, Clara?
No, that's fine. I'm just, can everybody see the screen properly? Yeah.
No, actually the figure is like your image is very small. We can see there is a screen behind you.
Okay. But that's good to share the screen, to continue to share the screen. It's great. So basically, if you're going to be noon is the most hottest time of the day. So that's the fire, the highest time of the day. And that would be summer, and that would be midday, and that's growth, right? Really, fire is connected to growth. Everything is growing from birth. And then the next one is we start to go towards sunset. Sunset is in the west. It's at the fall time. It's harvesting time. It's when we start gathering everything. So that would be 6 p.m. And then we go into the night, which is more yin. Water is more yin, fire is more yang. So 12 midnight is the most yin time of the day. It is when it's the darkest, when it's supposed to be the coldest, and it's storage. It's winter. It's when we start storing everything, right? It's nighttime. So it's winter time. So that gives you the 4 seasons, the 4 times of the day, and Earth is at the center. It's part of transformation. Every time there's a change, there's a transformation in between different seasons, in between time of days, in between time of life, right? That is Earth. So for example, when someone is a young child, we say they are more wood. But then if you are in the fire of your life, you're probably in your 20s. 20s and 30s are probably the fire of your life. And then you're going to the fall of your life, which would be your 40s, 50s, 60s. And then you're going to the winter of your life, which is the 70s and 80s and 90s, etc., right? Earth is in between transition. So Earth would be the teenagers, right? The difficult time where you, from a child to an adult, you are in Earth time when you're a teenager. Or if you have someone that is going through midlife crisis or menopause, that is Earth time. There's a transition, right? So all those transitions happen in Earth time. So that's when it's super important to protect the digestive system. That is really what we want to look at in that perspective. Now, when I look at this, I also can talk about the relationship between fire, water, and earth. So if you look at it this way or this perspective, if there is issue of the digestive system, like say the person's not eating well and they are not digesting food well and they have issue of digestion because they have a bad diet, it's affecting the earth or the spleen and stomach, but it will also affect the fire, which means the heart, by giving maybe high blood pressure, maybe cholesterol, maybe there's foggy brain, cannot memorize, cannot focus because the brain is not able to function because it doesn't have enough essential fatty acid or nutrients. It also will affect the kidney or the essence, and it will deplete and age the person faster because they're not nourishing and they're eating food that is going to deplete or age them faster because now they have diabetes by the time they're 40 and they have other issues that the digestive system is creating because it is not fed properly. So as you can see, it is in the middle of everything. It can affect every organ, right? And so I like this sequence in clinical practice because I always focus and tell my patients that diet is super important. You need to be compliant and you need to help me with following advice on diet because I can manage the disorder or the problem, but if you're not doing your part and you're not eating the right diet, you're not going to get a good outcome. Okay, so that pretty much is how we go about looking at the 5 elements. I wanted to finish off. You could stop sharing the screen, Dr. Rudolph. I'm gonna thank you. So I wanted to finish because we only have an hour, and I know everybody has a life and they have things to go to do. By saying that I will, I'm welcoming questions all the time. You guys are all on my social media and people are following and listening and asking questions. So I'm here to help. I really am passionate about people really enjoying TCM as well. So this was just a quick 5 element to kind of see how this would go. We wanted to try a meeting to also see how that would go, how you guys would enjoy it. This is my first time, so it's all kind of new for Zoom. I don't do a lot of Zoom big meeting. I've done one-on-one, but not a lot of Zoom big meetings. So it's really interesting and fascinating. I hope you guys benefited from this short little snippet of the 5 elements, and it sheds some light, and it helps you understand a little bit more, because there's so much more to Chinese medicine. It's such a big subject. So I wanted to thank Dr. Rudolph for inviting me today, and for providing the meeting, and for everyone that showed up from different places. I know life is busy. Thank you for showing up from different countries all over the world. You guys rock. Awesome. You're amazing. And keep being passionate about TCM. You are rock stars. And I love that everybody is really interested in learning more. So thank you very much.
I would like to thank Clara for coming all the way. With your busy schedule, you have come here, and you are devoted and given something useful for the students who are trying to develop or who already practice acupuncture, and you are given a new version to think about TCM. And thank you first and foremost for accepting my invitation. And we think so we will continue in a larger way. We will continue in a different way. We will try to do it. And my humble request to you, Clara, because some people don't understand English here. So if you can give me a break on each subject, I can translate it in the local language, the Tamil here, because people would love to hear it in their own language when you tell me a subject, so that they would be more clear but what you are trying to say or what you are trying to express, and they will be getting the essence of your experience or the knowledge what is shared, ma'am.
Sir, Thomas sir.
Yes.
Sir, எங்களுக்கு வந்து இது ஒரு தமிழ் வெர்ஷன் கிளாஸ் நீங்க கண்டக்ட் பண்ணா நல்லா இருக்கும்.
That's what they're all are asking about a Tamil version class. So if you can come, if you.
நாங்க வந்து எங்களோட கான்டாக்ட் டீடைல்ஸ் ஷேர் பண்றோம் உங்களுக்கு.
எல்லாரும் எனக்கு வந்து ஒரு டெக்ஸ்ட் பண்ணீங்கன்னா இது தமிழ் வெர்ஷன்ல எடுத்துறலாம் சார், யார் வேணாலும்.
பெஸ்ட் சார். அப்ப ரெக்வெஸ்டிங் ஆல், நீங்க வந்து உங்களோட கான்டாக்ட் டீடைல்ஸ் வந்து தாமஸ் சாருக்கு நீங்க SMS பண்ணீங்கன்னா we'll arrange for a Tamil version class and he can share it with you.
We'll try. I mean, we'll see. I can't promise you anything because I'm really busy, so it's hard for me to do a lot of meetings all the time. But we'll try and we'll talk offline, okay? Because I know a lot of people are sitting there waiting. So I just wanted to say thank you. I'm going to go, and then I'll talk with Dr. Rudolph later on.
Clara, if you don't mind, can I call you right now on your phone? We like to talk to you just 5 minutes, if you don't mind, please. I'll call you on the phone. Yeah, thank you.
No problem. Yes. Yeah. Bye, guys. Thank you very much. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Ma'am Clara.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very much.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, all of you.
Good night.
Class, ma'am.
Good night. Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning to you, ma'am. I'm here.
Yes, I know. Good night to you. Good morning to me.
Good night. Good night. Bye bye.
Have a good day.
Thank you, ma'am. Nice class, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am has left. Thank you for all coming and joining. I thank you, everybody. And please do join.
Excuse me, Thomas.
Yeah.
Are you going to have like sessions like this in future?
Yeah, we are continuously having, ma'am. That's what we'd like to say. We are having many.
Is this the first class?
No, we are having many classes, but this was the first class of Clara, ma'am, and we are having many classes like this way. We conduct we get trainers from all around the globe, and we train children. Like
so,
that.
where can we get the information?
So I see, you can text me your number on my messenger or on this message chat. I will take note of it, and I'll definitely get back to you guys. Or I will give you my number. It's 90 870
Yeah.
90 870 39707. You have to add a +91 because sir, because India, you have to add a +91 90 870 39707. Is it clear, ma'am?
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, is it a WhatsApp number?
Yeah, it's a WhatsApp number also, ma'am. You can contact on that.
Sir, I want to share something. If the participants, if they are sharing their details, we can send the invitation for our upcoming all these classes also, because we don't have their numbers also with us. We can collect the data, contact details.
Sir, can we have a copy of the lecture of
Yeah,
Ma'am Clara?
no, I will give you a copy if you WhatsApp me. Definitely, I will share you the copy.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a group chat on this?
Yeah, I have a group chat.
WhatsApp?
I have a group, WhatsApp group. I have a Telegram group. You can contact me. I've given you my number. You can contact me either on WhatsApp or you can do a Telegram also for me.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I'm Tess Garcia from Philippines.
Yeah, nice meeting you, ma'am.
Nice hearing you too.
Yeah, okay. Bye-bye.
Hope this
Thank
will
you,
not be
doctor.
the last.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank
Good
you
night. Good
so
night.
much.
Good night.
Sir, where are you put up?
I'm in Coimbatore, ma'am. Coimbatore. Shalini, ma'am. I'm in Coimbatore.
Coimbatore.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. What do you actually teach, sir?
We teach TCM acupuncture. That's what we do.
How long is the course?
If you are a profession, we can only give you 300 hours class. If you are not profession, it takes 1,600 hours of class, ma'am. It depends on the requirement of yours. So what are you looking into? Are you looking for a full-time profession course or you're looking for just to learn acupuncture? That's what I've asked you.
I have learned acupuncture. I just wanted to know, enhance more. So,
I think so 300 hours will be sufficient for you, ma'am, if you know acupuncture.
okay.
You can enhance your knowledge with acupuncture. TCM.
Okay. What is your class name, sir?
We have Faith Academics and we have TCM acupuncture classes. This is how we run.
No, what is the name of your academy?
Faith Academy, ma'am. You can come on my WhatsApp. You can come on my WhatsApp, ma'am. Because we are merged with 2-3 organizations. Because I kept a local name, online platform name called Faith Academy. But we are having a collaboration and we have an insight with many people. And we have a incorporation with IMC also, International Medical Council also. So we are having a global enhancement here.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Please do keep in touch.
Yes, I'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Shalini. Thank you all guys for coming. Can we end up the program? Could you please all log out? I think so it's late night and please do take a good rest. Have a good dinner and good night. Namaste.
Thank you, sir.
Good night, sir.
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank
Repeat
you.
the number, sir. Can you repeat the number?
Yeah, 90. Are you from
90.
India? Are you from
Madam,
India?
it is there on the. It is on.
India
It is there on the.
90870
90.
870
Okay.
39707.
9087039707.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So anybody else, you can keep in touch with me. Please do come.
உங்க நம்பர் நான் chatலயே போட்டிருக்கேன்.
And Saji Bharat sir has saved my number, is shared number on chat also. You can take note of it. Saji Bharat sir has taken chat it. He's shared it on chat. So please guys, could you please log out? It will be wonderful. I will stop my recording.